Well, welcome back to another episode of Wine Time, or Beer Time, as it would be for this episode. I am Austin Peppers, sports anchor, filling in for JKO this week, and we got a very special guest for this week, Rich Austin, who is the sports director, or the director of sports for the Yakima Valley Sports Commission. Rich, thank you so much for joining us for today. Really appreciate you having us here. So, I was told you are more of a beer person as opposed to wine. So here for us today, for us to taste, we got Daybreak Pale Breaker. I've never had this before. Have you had this one before, Rich?
I have. It's really good. Everything that Bale Breaker has is very, very good.
Nice. Awesome. Is this considered like an IPA?
I believe it's just one of their different varieties that they have, kind of a seasonal one. It's one that I get for a lot of our VIPs that come into the Yakima Valley throughout the spring this year.
Awesome, sweet. It's got a nice color to it. It looks pretty good. Try not to give you a ton of foam. Alrighty, well, Rich, cheers to you.
Thank you.
Oh, that is nice.
That is good.
I like that flavor. It's really good. So, again, Rich, thank you for being with us for today. I do want to start out with the fact you technically don't come from Yakima. You're from North Carolina, even though you didn't spend a whole lot of time there. Is that correct?
Right. My family is from here, not originally, but they were here. My mom and my dad were here throughout their youth. And then my dad went in the Army. My mom followed him a few months later. They got married, and then about a year, I think it was a year and a month later, I was born. So came back here when I was about 2.
Okay, wow, awesome. So been here pretty much your entire life.
Pretty much. I consider myself almost a native, but I throw that in that I was born somewhere else just in case someone asks.
Awesome. Now, working with the Sports Commission as well, was sports something that you've always wanted to do in life?
I've always really enjoyed sports. Unfortunately, I wasn't very good. I'm the kid that when I was little, it was prior to Nerf hoops, things like that. So I would have the KFC bucket, cut out the bottom, nail it to the side of the house, or I would have a coffee can, do kind of the same thing, and always would be out playing. Only child. I'd play basketball, go out and throw the ball against the barn. I remember one time I went out and took the paint roller when they were doing the living room of the house and took it outside. Not that it was a great idea to put a little target on the barn. My mom didn't, but that blue square was on the barn until we moved from there. But I've always really liked playing sports and loved watching sports, and this job just kind of fell right in the middle of everything for me.
Awesome. Was there any specific sports that you liked watching more than any others?
I'm a huge basketball guy, and then baseball, and then football, probably those 3 in that order. And then I like some of the oddball stuff that you see on now and then. Last night I was watching a little Facebook video of wiffle ball. And I think they're in the finals of whatever league that is. It looks like they built that in someone's yard. So I'll watch just about anything off and on. Just kind of depends on what it is and kind of what my mood is.
Awesome. So, and then kind of transitioning as well, I know you were a class of 1982, was it, from East Valley?
Right.
Awesome. And then I know you went to YVC, got your AA there, and then eventually your bachelor's from Washington State University. And then before you went to the Yakima Valley Sports Commission, you actually had a couple of stints with the, sadly to say, now extinct Yakima Sun Kings. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I did my schoolwork at WSU, and then I did a 1-year internship as part of that schoolwork at the University of Puget Sound. And when I was there, I was able to do play-by-play, typing play-by-play. This was pre-computer on a typewriter. And did that and came back to town and worked in a sporting goods store in Yakima here for about 3 years, and then Sun Kings came to town. And I knew that professional basketball teams needed a play-by-play typist, and I was probably the only one in the Valley, maybe all of Eastern Washington, to do that. And so that's what they hired me to do. So I did that for the whole first year. A little bit into that first year, they needed someone to work in their kiosk. Then a week later, they hired me to answer phones, and then I just ended up sticking around. And 10 years later, I was GM of the Sun Kings. So I worked for the team for 11 years in various roles: PR director, director of operations, assistant GM, and then finally becoming GM in 2000.
Wow, awesome. And then I know you left the Sun Kings for a little bit after that as well. I found this very interesting. You spent 3 years with the NBA's Portland Trailblazers. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually it was just 2 seasons, 2003-04 and 2004-05.
Okay.
So yeah, very interesting job. Got to meet some wonderful, wonderful people that I'm still friends with. And I got to travel with the team as one of their 2 PR guys about 75% of the time.
Awesome. Did you ever think you would work with a professional team like the Portland Trailblazers?
Yeah, I never thought I would, but it's kind of funny because in high school, I think I was a junior, and we had to go to this seminar for careers and what you wanted to do. And I actually had put that I wanted to be director of marketing for an NBA team. And so I didn't actually hit that goal, but working in the NBA was always a huge goal, especially coming from the Sun Kings, where you'd see players go up and down and coaches go up and down, and you'd have people go on. I mean, that first championship team we had in '95, I think we had probably 7 or 8 of the players that played in the NBA, and then coaches were either came from the NBA or went back to the NBA. And our trainer at that time, Jeff Clark, now is director of medical scouting for the Portland Trailblazers, and he's one of my best friends. And so I still have a lot of friends in the NBA, but it was a great time. It was only 2 years. Came back here to be with my kids, but still great memories.
Awesome. I love that. And I guess on that note as well, you did come back as well to Yakima, and you also spent a smaller stint with the Yakima Sun Kings as well. Did you do some of the same? Did you do something different with them this time around?
I came back here in 2005 as GM of the Sun Kings, and it was a very fun year. Actually enjoyed, if you had to hold me down to give you an answer, I enjoyed my time in the CBA a lot more, because you just got to do a lot more, and everyone was hungry, and everyone was, kind of working really hard. Not that they don't work very hard in the NBA, but it's just a little bit different atmosphere. And came back and we won the championship in '06, very successful year for the team, and that's when the Yakima Nation owned it. And fortunately, I was named Executive of the Year that year. And then later that summer, that's when the late Kathy Coffey, former mayor of the city of Yakima, who at that time was president and CEO of Yakima Valley Visitors and Convention Bureau, she called me and wanted to meet with me about the Sports Commission job. And ended up taking that. And then when the Sun Kings, they were still around for a couple more years, I was a consultant for them then. And then when they came back in 18 and 19, I was a consultant for them as well.
Awesome, sweet. So a bunch of different stuff doing with the Yakima Sun Kings. And then I know you mentioned, Yakima Valley Sports Commission. That's obviously where you are now. You've spent quite a long time with them. Was it 2006?
2006, 19 years last month.
Wow, awesome. Very long time. So, when you first joined the Sports Commission, what was your set out goal or goals that you had when joining the Sports Commission?
Well, it was a different role for me, one that I never thought I would take, but we worked with some very good people in the office, and some have left now, and we have 5 or 6 that have been there my whole time. So just some really great people. But you get to meet a lot of the people that are in the sporting world, tournament organizers, tournament managers, that sort of thing, and then the hoteliers. But I just wanted to kind of continue what my predecessors had done with the Sports Commission. I know that they'd always kind of had a sports department, but in 2001, that's when the Sports Commission really came on board, and they really made it a named entity rather than just another nameless department. And Mel Moore, who I call the sports mayor of Yakima, had kind of been on board then, and he worked there for a couple of years. And then Bob Romero came in and worked for the Sports Commission for a year and a half. I'm not sure exactly the timeline. And then I came in and took over after Bob. And I just wanted to kind of continue that atmosphere of what the Yakima Valley had to offer, the customer service angle, and the WIA part of sports in the Yakima Valley.
So on that note of continuing, that atmosphere and all that stuff, you guys have a lot of events, signature events that you guys have throughout the whole year. in the Yakima Valley. You got a bunch of them. So tell us about some of those that you guys have that helps, kind of helps drive tourism to the Yakima Valley and brings money into the county and the city as well.
Right. Well, we have, when I first started, we had 3, and those were all started by Mel Moore in 2003. We have the Hot Shots 3-on-3 tournament. And at the time, that was held in August every year, the last weekend prior to Labor Day weekend. And then Mel also started the Yakima Valley Sports Awards, and he started the Sundome Volleyball Festival, which is coming up next weekend. And we've kind of taken those and kind of changed them around a little bit where we've needed to, and then we've added some on our own. So now we host 5 events, and we've hosted some for a year or 2, and we had some like the Pirate Plunder for about 3 years, 4 years back, about 10 years ago. But we still host Hot Shots. We host the Yakima Valley Sports Awards, Sundome Volleyball Festival, and we added about 8 years ago the Die Hard 5K Color Run.
Yes.
And then this year in March, we added the Fast Pitch Fury Fast Pitch Tournament.
Okay, wow, awesome. So, and you were mentioning as well, the Sundome Volleyball Festival, that's coming up actually a week from almost today. It starts the 12th and 13th.
Yeah, next Friday.
Yeah, starting next Friday and going through Saturday as well. So, tell us a little bit about that as well, because I hear it's not very easy to get into this tournament to begin with.
No, what we used to do is we would send you out a letter. We'd send out 400 letters to all the high schools and have them fill it out and turn everything in. And I think the record for doing in that process was 3 weeks. Then about 4 years ago, we put a little PDF online. You print it off, turn it in to register, and that was about a week. And we went totally online 3 years ago. The first time we did it, it sold out in 12 minutes. Then last year we thought, okay, how are we going to beat that? But it sold out in 6 minutes. And then this year it sold out in 4 minutes. And Shannon Anglin, who works with me, and she does all of our registration stuff, she's incredible. She said she felt like she was Taylor Swift, where everyone was trying to buy tickets for her concert. And it was just boom. We had people that were trying to register, and you need to be on there right at 10 a.m. when we open it up and do it quick, or else you might not get in.
And how many teams do you guys host for that?
We host a total of 80 teams. It's 32 small school teams on Friday, then 32 large school teams on Saturday, and 16 JV teams, which play at Davis on Saturday as well. So it's a total of 80 teams.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's coming up very soon. We'll be looking forward to that. So that should be a lot of fun. I do want to come back a little bit as well. I know the Yakima Valley Sports Commission, with these events and other stuff that you guys have as well, you guys bring in a lot of money to the Yakima Valley and the city of Yakima as well. Is that correct?
Correct. And it's our mission to further the economy of the Yakima Valley through sporting events. And so we work with many, many groups throughout the year and throughout my time with the Sports Commission. But I believe the numbers for 2024 were something around 470, 480 events, which had an estimated economic impact of just a little bit under $60 million. So they're big money. And those are events that they could be small or they could be large. If it's just 1 or 2 rooms, we really don't report those. It has to be at least 10 rooms, but the majority are a lot larger than that. And it has to be an event that has overnight hotel stays that we know of. So, there are other events that bring in money or that generate money, say like Davis and Ike, or, West Valley versus Sela, East Valley. Any of those games, we don't really count those unless they're bringing in a team from out of town that we know that the players are coming to stay, and so are some of the fans. So it has to be an event like that.
Okay, so kind of specific details that you guys look at when determining this.
Right, and most of the time in tourism, you go from a 50-mile radius. We normally go to 75 or a little bit further out, just because we know that unless a team from the Tri-Cities or say Moses Lake or Wenatchee, unless they're going somewhere else to play after us, or they came from somewhere else, they're probably not going to spend the night. So that's not an event that we count. It'd just be tournaments or traveling games, that sort of thing.
Okay, wow, awesome. Well, really great to hear that you guys bring in a lot of money for the Yakima Valley. does a big economic deal for the Yakima Valley. I'm sure the whole county and valley really appreciates what you guys do with all these events and doing all that stuff for us. So.
Well, thank you. We really try to help anyone out. We want to have their event to be a success, and we want them to continue to do it as long as they would like to do it.
Awesome. Well, we're starting to run on time a little bit, so wanted to ask you kind of a few fun questions.
Okay.
You know, most of them are kind of, you know, this or that, you know, so I do want to start out as well. It sounds like you kind of answered this one, but basketball or football?
Basketball. I prefer college basketball, but I have a lot of friends still that are in NBA coaching front office, and so I do follow that quite a bit.
Awesome. And then I know you kind of answered this as well. You know, it sounds like you prefer watching sports over playing sports.
Well, I preferred playing when I was younger,
Okay.
but you know, there's that joke, and you may not have heard this, but they ask you how you like playing for such and such coach, and the punchline is, well, I don't know, I never played for him, but I sure like to practice for him. So I love to play sports, but I just wasn't that successful. I did play high school baseball.
Okay.
And I liked basketball so much as a junior that I didn't wrestle that year. I wrestled as a sophomore, and I could have been pretty decent. I'd have been a varsity wrestler.
Right.
But I didn't wrestle that year, and instead as a junior joined the C squad basketball team where I didn't start, just because I love to go out and play. I haven't shot in a long time, but I love just to go out and shoot. And now I'll watch because, you know, I'm getting older, and, you know, you walk out the door, step off the step, and you could, you know, twist an ankle or something. So I'm much better off just sitting in front of the TV or going to watch a game in person.
Right. Awesome. So next one, going on a little more national level, you know, John Kennedy O'Connor, who's normally here, he'll be back for next week's episode. By the way, he asked one of your fellow coworkers, John Cooper, a similar question. I'm going to slightly tweak that. Even though there's no basketball team in Seattle, I'll switch it up a bit. The Mariners or the Seahawks?
Mariners. Just love the atmosphere there. And it's a great atmosphere for the Seahawks as well, but it's just a little more leisurely pace when you're watching a baseball game and you have a little more time to talk.
Who's your favorite Mariner?
Favorite Mariner would be, would have to be Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Big Dunker does everything.
Yeah, he's having an incredible year this year.
Awesome. This one, I'm very curious to see what you say to this. I know you mentioned you graduated from Washington State University, but you and I have also talked about previously as well, being from North Carolina, you know, you're a Tar Heel fan as well. So I'm curious, WSU or North Carolina?
Well, I love North Carolina. I've been back there several times and spent a lot of time in Chapel Hill. But all my daughters went to WSU. I went to WSU. Have a lot of friends there. So I'll have to go with the Cougs.
Awesome. Go Cougs. Well, on that note, that's all the questions I got for you. Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up this episode, Rich?
I just appreciate the time and getting a chance to sit here and talk with you, having a little beer and enjoying some conversation.
Yeah, very good beer at that, by the way. It tasted very good. I really do like that. And I haven't drank a lot of IPAs, but that's really good.
Yeah, we have some just incredible beers here in the Yakima Valley, and Bellbreaker just does a wonderful job.
Awesome. Well, Rich, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Wine Time or Beer Time for this case. Make sure to tune in for next week's episode as well, which will have another guest, which we will keep a surprise for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Rich, thank you so much.
Thanks, Austin.
Have a great one. Also, a big shout out to the Yakima Visitor Center for hosting us for another episode of Wine Time.